Hello everyone, my name is Jaime Perez and welcome to a brand new episode of my podcast, The Jaime Perez Show. Today I'm going to be talking about, I think, a subject that hits pretty close to home for a lot of us, and that is our social lives. You know, how we interact with people, the kinds of people we interact with, the friendships we form with these people, and more importantly, a lot of the the actions that we ourselves as human beings take to avoid social, interactions at times. As I said in my last episode, I have a couple of friends who I still keep really close contact with, and these friends, I love them to bits, and I try to talk to them as much as I can, every single day, if possible, and I just try to keep a connection with them because, of course, we share similar ideas, we are very passionate about what we believe in, we care for one another, we are always looking out for one another, and that's something I want to keep close to me. Just, a group of people who are going to be able to help me out with any situation if the moment arises, and a group of people whom I can depend on for the assistance if I ever need it. And I want them to depend on me as well if they ever do need such assistance, right? My group of friends, I would say, is spread across a spectrum, right, of personality types, of popularity, which was, of course, something that was notable in high school, and more importantly, we all have contrasting dynamics. I myself, I would say I'm extroverted to an extent. I would go and I try to talk to people. I love networking. I love connecting. But at the same time, I don't think I'm like the most socially extroverted person, if you know what I mean. I don't like to go to parties that much. I don't like to be at these social events. And I feel like it's really draining for me. It's a lot of work. It's something that when I'm at them, I feel pressured to be someone who I'm not. I feel like I like to assume the role of the funny guy, even though I'm absolutely not funny. That's one thing I like to do. And then another thing is, I just don't feel comfortable having to switch on and off between being some socialite and then being who I really am, which is someone who likes to have just a small ring of friends and likes to talk to them one-on-one instead of having to speak to a group of people at all times. When I served as a state officer this past year for FBLA, it was a massive challenge for me to not rip the hair out of my head because I always felt pressured to have to talk to a large group of people, and that was my responsibility, And nevertheless, I feel like I was able to do a great job at it, but I don't want to feel that pressure anymore, that pressure to have to go and speak to people and have to force myself to be social in my private life now. I love my friends. I love everything they do for me. But what I don't love is having to be someone I'm not, if you know what I mean. I want to be the truest self that I can be. I know there was a circumstance in which there was a party that I ended up going to, and I felt really uncomfortable. Not because I didn't like the people there. That was the least of my worries. I don't care about who's there, what they're doing, who they are. What really affected me was being able to, in a way, continue to be someone who just was not extroverted in social circumstances. Forcing myself to be someone who talks to everyone. Forcing myself to be someone who tries to be the fun one, the exciting one, when really I just wanted to be sitting at the table talking to those who I was close with. I didn't even want to talk to the other people. And it's not because I think that I'm stuck up. If I was stuck up, I wouldn't be talking to the people because I didn't like them. That's what I believe. But that's not the case. I genuinely liked all the people at that party. But I just felt like I didn't talk to these people outside of that circumstance. I didn't know them. And yes, while a party was a great time for me to get to know them, at the same time, it's not what I'm there for. I'm there to have fun with the people I know, the people I love, to celebrate the person who invited me, and to just enjoy myself, right? And I think that, in essence, I'm pretty antisocial. in the sense that I actively try to not put myself in those situations, which can be pretty bad, but at the same time, it gives me a sort of, ease of mind. I like talking to people, I like networking, but only when I really need to. If I don't need to be doing it, then I would do nothing more than just lay in bed and watch Orange is the New Black if I could. It's not a good thing, and I'll be honest, being in bed, not doing anything, not socializing, because you do end up getting a little bit disconnected from the world after a while. You end up forgetting, what's going on, and you kind of feel like you're living under a rock. But, at the same time, it's a relaxing thing. And I think that for me personally, if I want to continue to have a sort of balance between my social life and my professional life, and more importantly, an understanding of my personality and how I'm more extroverted in some situations and introverted in others, I need to have that time for myself to just rest and to reflect on who I am and just know who I am. I think that a lot of us forget that. A lot of us forget that it's okay for us to just take breaks, just sit in our rooms by ourselves, and let ourselves just process what's going on. Some people don't like it, which is understandable. Some people don't like sitting with their own thoughts and processing what's happening in their lives. Others socialize for the sake of distracting themselves from what's happening in their lives, probably, which is perfectly justifiable. But I think that taking the time to go ahead and just think and reflect on yourself is crucial to not just you becoming a better person for yourself, but becoming a better person for those around you, the friends, the acquaintances with whom you associate with. It's crucial for you to be able to look at who you are, be able to understand what makes you the best person that you can be at all times. Not just for the one circumstance, not just for the one moment, but at all times. And I think that we need to get better at that. We need to get better at just reflecting on ourselves, being able to say, it's okay for me to just be antisocial for this one day. As a matter of fact, it's unfair to even call it antisocial at that point. It's just you being you and sitting down and reflecting on who you are and just understanding the world a little bit better instead of trying to drown it out on the noise that is a quite ingenuine social life at times, trying to force yourself to be a person that you're not, trying to put yourself in a circumstance where you're surrounded by people who are also trying to force themselves to be, social. I think that we just need to come to the general understanding that if you are not that kind of person, if you don't feel comfortable doing things like that, then it's not a bad thing. You're not boring, you're not a bad person, you're not someone lame for not trying to actively seek out these circumstances. You're just trying to breathe for a moment. You're trying to live with your own peace. You're trying to find a moment in your life where you can just sit down and think. Because and our lives are so busy. Our lives are so packed full of things that we do as teenagers. I'm saying this with a grain of salt because a lot of the time we're not really doing much, but our lives can get busy. Some of us have jobs, some of us have volunteering opportunities, others have responsibilities outside of home, some of them have to take care of their siblings, of the children of the house, and it takes up time. It really does. And I think that, all in all, it needs to be said that I'm not a social person, and I'll admit it now. I like to talk to people, I will talk to people, but I don't like doing it as often, because sometimes I just want to get away from that rush. I want to get away from the constant crowding that happens. And it's okay for you to be that way too. It's okay for you to just want to break, to just want to take some time for yourself, to not talk to people for the day. I feel like that's something that people have always associated with disrespect. of course, you should let people know what's going to happen. You should let them know, hey, I'm just going to be resting for the day. I'm going to be taking a break. But at the same time, people shouldn't be getting offended if you do that. I feel like I want to take a break sometimes. I just don't want to talk to anyone for a day unless, they're really, really close with me. And at the same time, people sort of think that I'm just trying to avoid them, and that's not the case. It's just I don't, it's just one of the things that people have in human nature. We just don't want to talk for one single second. if that's even possible. I just don't want to talk. I just want to sit there and I want to live with myself. I want to live in the moment, and I just want to think about who I am. And quite frankly, I think that we all, as a general, as young adults, really need to begin to consider that a little bit more. Just trying to make the effort to breathe for a moment, be with ourselves for a moment, and just acknowledge our space, our time, and just be okay with not being a social butterfly. That's it for today's episode. It's, again, not the funniest thing that you'll be listening to in a while. I will be also uploading all the other episodes I've had on my YouTube, on my Spotify account, onto this new YouTube page. After a little bit, I need to go make sure and do some editing on those and make sure that they have proper formatting before I upload them. But nevertheless, there's going to be a lot more projects coming up here. I'm going to try to do a podcast every single day. It's a little bit of an initiative, a little bit of a stretch, but hopefully it's going to be brand new content each day, different subjects. You guys can send in different subjects that you want me to talk about as well. And hopefully I should be collaborating with some other people soon, or at least just having them on my podcast so that we can talk about the issues and it's just not me, sharing my experience. But again, thank you for listening in, and make sure to keep an eye out for the next episode.